It's that canning and freezing time of year to save those summer veggies for the months to come. But here's a warning. If you've seen those oven canning methods, it's been on Pinterest and word of mouth, the Iowa State University Extension says it's a bad idea. Cindy Baumgartner is here to set the record straight about oven canning. Is that new, Cindy, or a new concept? Or?
It's really been a hot topic this summer. I've had so many people talking to me about it or asking me about it at classes and workshops that I've taught, and I've been very concerned.
It's not working out, is it?
No, and I want to set the record straight right now that that is absolutely an unsafe method of canning food.
Don't can it in the, I guess this is stuff where you've seen jars blow up in the oven.
Yes.
And all of that? Yeah.
I actually talked to somebody yesterday and she said a friend of hers had had a jar explode in the oven and she had gotten burned. I also had somebody else who called me and she had canned for the first time, heard about this method from a trusted, well-meaning friend, and she had 16 quarts of beef and several of the jars had not sealed correctly after several days.
That's not safe.
And I had to tell her I have to throw it all away. So it's really disheartening.
Well, when people look at their screens right now and they see all of this, they're saying, well, if I need all that, forget it. No. But there are easier methods, and you're going to show us a few different things. Like you can even use just Ziplocs sometimes, right?
If people don't want to go to the work of canning food, they can freeze food. That's a great way to do it. They can also dehydrate food. I do want to talk a little bit about hot water bath or boiling water bath canning and pressure canning, and also the difference, since we were talking about oven canning, why you should not be doing it. And one of the things we talk about is, would you ever put your hand, if this were boiling water, would you ever put your hand down into that pot of water?
That would be silly.
Yes, it would.
It would be ridiculous even, yes.
212 degrees boiling water, but yet we can go and take something out of the oven, can't we, at 350 degrees, and we won't get burned. So there's definitely a difference between the moist heat and the dry heat.
Okay, got it. And even steam, you can get a steam burn, which can be the worst. Did you want to describe what's going on here?
Yes, and that moist heat, we need to penetrate inside that jar. So inside our water bath canner, we have a rack. So anytime you're doing canning, we need a rack. And you also want to determine what kinds of equipment you need ahead of time. So I've shown some different kinds of jars. This one you can see is a narrow mouth, and this is a wide mouth. So this one's a little easier to clean. This one's a little more narrow, but you can also use some helps that we'll show in a little bit to make that easier. Now when you're doing any kind of canning, as I said, that oven canning, our big culprit there is Clostridium botulinum bacteria. And that grows in a condition in an enclosed environment, not particularly in pickles, but it would in green beans if they did these in the oven, because it grows in absence of air and it's a moist, warm environment. And it will not get up to the proper temperature long enough or high enough in the oven. So we need to use water bath canners. We can use for almost all fruits. So we would be processing things like fruits, jams, marmalades, that kind of thing. Could be done in a hot water bath canner. We could also do salsas if we are using a tested recipe. So this actually slips right over here, Paula. It goes like that.
Oh, a little proper
there.
Okay.
And then you can set your jars in here as you're canning. The one thing with tomatoes or tomato products is we want to make sure they are what we call properly acidified. So we need to add some lemon juice or vinegar or citric acid to make sure that it is brought into the correct pH level. So these are our high acid foods. Our pressure canner we need to use for low acid foods.
This looks serious.
It does. This is a dial gauge. We also have weighted gauge. And one thing we want to make sure people do check their gauges every year to make sure that they're accurate. You can take those into most of our county extension offices or local hardware stores. This also has a rack in the bottom, just like what we had. And something else I wanted to mention too, if people don't have this equipment, you can fashion your own out of a big stock pot.
Where'd you go, Cindy? Oh, there you are.
I'm right here.
Okay.
A big stock pot. And this would be used for like a pint or half-pint jar. And they can do this, and they could even make their own canning rack out of screw bands. So
that is so special. We're putting up a banner underneath here, Cindy, for people to learn more about what you do at the Extension Service. And I know that you make classes and information available for everyone.
We do.
So we're going to warn everyone about the oven canning again.
Yes. Please do not can in the oven. Thank you so much. And use tested recipes.
We'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much.
Let's enjoy the bounties of summer.
Absolutely.
All right, up next, we have a fashion transition for you. A little bit summer, a little hint of fall, what to buy and wear right now. We're at the Ruby Slipper next on PSL.